Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible and all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young and I'm one of your melodramatic theatrical hosts. Joining me as always is our other melodramatic and theatrical host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always.
I like those. Good word for topic choice.
We're both wearing very dramatic colors.
We are. I know. I did dramatic eye makeup
We're,
even. I
we're
thought about dressing up it as Jack Sparrow, but then decided against it.
ooh, and that would be great.
I
Yeah, we need to do
know.
a fancy. Well, we'll save our fancy dress episode for Halloween, right? But I mean, we're both kind of really popping at the minute, guys. So this is why you really need to see the video. It's really kind
It's
of
true.
a treat for the eyes,
It's true. It's true. How's it
as
going,
always.
buddy?
Not too
You know
bad.
what's funny? I was
Uh-huh.
editing some of our episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone starts with hello. So Mike started being like, hello,
Because of me? Is
because
he
of
imp
you.
I dare he? Tell him I'm desperately offended. Uh,
It's like when you talk about like a wee lunch.
yeah, that's true. And like it's so funny because I just, we use it constantly all the time. I mean, I use it constantly around you as well, but it's only whenever I'm with, people from other countries, they're like, we. And I'm like, oh yeah,
It's
this
it's
this is
just
true.
it's the cutest, sweetest thing. I
It's
wish like was we, or we
yeah,
just don't have anything as adorable
it's the
as
best.
it is. It is. It's the sweetest.
It's so
So
multi-purpose as well, it's such such flexible use out of it. It's fantastic.
hmm.
But yeah,
So
mhm.
can I tell you the crack?
Yeah, please do.
So it's flooding in
Oh no.
California, Southern
It always
California.
surprises me that California floods, but like I know it's a
Yes.
big ass state.
I mean, we're also by the ocean, so
True.
like we do get occasional tropical storms, but up in LA right now, which is like 2.5 hours north of me,
Hmm.
I had to write this down. There, most of LA, Beverly Hills, and Hollywood have been evacuated.
What?
Uh-huh.
Because of
And
flooding?
8 trillion gallons of water.
Jeez Louise, that's mad for freaking LA.
Trillion. And guess it's heading our direction. So
Crazy.
it's supposed to start hitting, well, really any minute, but it doesn't look like it out the window.
That's
So
nuts.
I know. So we're gonna have some heavy rain. And they're saying like hurricane level winds and all this stuff. So
Madness.
I
Like
know.
we've been hit by a few storms, but they've already like got well, most of the time they've got their worst out of them by the time they arrive with us, so it's never really too bad.
That's typically what happens too. But it's like yesterday I was getting all these texts from people that care, except
Hmm.
for Andy. Um,
I mean, in fairness, this is all news to me.
right.
We've had big developments in the Northern Irish stage recently, Beth, so that's all we're hearing about, okay?
I actually, it
Did
made
you
the
even
news
hear about it?
here. I did. And I
Wow.
read and I was like, this is interesting. And then the article just like went on and on and on. And then I was like, and then I
Ah,
started to
boring,
snore a
boring,
little bit. But
boring.
no,
Yes.
but it's very interesting. And
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know if you want to talk politics, but
I I don't think I want to talk politics, but I'd like to touch
yeah.
on it briefly. No, I don't want to before but we will. Do we have any more flood chat before we move on? Because I don't want to
Um, I
go off
guess
on that
the only
tangent
thing
just
is
yet.
I'm hoping that some air,
Flood chat.
flood chat. I'm leaving the doggy door open in hopes that I'll get some animals that are in need of a place to crash out.
Like surfing their way into your
Surfing
house.
their,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of like when it rains here, we're supposed to get an inch a day. So
Right.
that's quite a bit.
That is
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah. So
Okay.
between now and next or Thursday, what's today, Monday? So yeah, 4 days worth of rain.
I mean,
So
that's
we'll
one of the
see.
things I think that like even though people are like, oh, the weather over here is terrible and it's not great, it's we don't get extremes, which is nice, I think, in a lot of ways. There's a lot to be said for that.
And I would say like, yeah, we do. We get fires and we get
Yeah.
there's a James Taylor song in here somewhere about fires and rains, but yeah, we get them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still remember, so was it like 2 years ago? No, it was me last year whenever like you were sending me videos and it was like your background was hell. It was just like smoke and
Yes.
orange
Yeah.
glowing. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Whenever the fires were really kicking off, it was wild. But yeah.
the air quality index was like 815, which I don't even know what that means, but it's normally it's like 15.
I think
So
you're right. Yeah.
it was bad. It was bad. And there was like ash raining down all over the cars and everything. And yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. And that was Oregon.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Those are the Oregon
Crazy.
fires.
Yeah. 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 That's
So
true. Yeah. Yeah.
like here
Absolutely
we have
insane.
there's a mountain behind our house and they'll sleep the firefighters, not firemen, firefighters sleep up there like in the fire season.
Yes.
Kind of like the I always think of it like Lord of the Rings where they have like the fire lit on this mountain and then they signal the next mountain and then they call all the people and
So
that's kind of what it's like.
do you know how I know about that sort of thing?
How?
From a video game, classic Andy. There is actually a video game called Firewatch where you're this guy who for the summer has been sent to this tower to kind of keep an eye open for fires, and then like this kind of
Can you
mystery
say
of
fire tower?
fire tower,
Yeah. So when I lived in Kentucky,
fire tower,
you would say fartar.
fire tower.
Fartar.
Amazing,
So sorry, very interesting about your video game.
isn't it? I know it's so interesting. Get more video game chat from Andy. Everybody loves it. So I should have put my chapstick on before the recording, but I didn't know, and I'm
It's
doing it now.
fine. It's fine.
Gotta keep these babies in shape. Okay, so always take care of your lips, people. All right, it's a wee PSA from Andy. Okay, right. Okay, so my crack, and I guess my country's crack, for better for worse, is that we have a functioning government for the first time in 2 years. Woohoo!
Yay! In
And
2 years.
yep.
Is it because of Brexit? No,
No,
that was
yes, it is. It is. So
okay.
but it's basically whenever
Oh,
because Brexit was a while ago. Sorry, where are you
mm.
going?
Well, it's just funny that like you have a government that worked 2 years ago.
I know. Yes, it's
What's
true.
what's that like?
Yeah. Oh, it's not good. It's not good.
No.
Um, they so basically so Brexit was what, I don't know, 6 years ago. Don't I mean, like, I'm sure people are screaming at me now. A while ago now. I don't really remember dates of things.
Sometime
Some
on the
time ago.
timeline.
But once there was a kind of an actual agreement, once like the UK had finally figured out what that was shape it was going to take. It was a lot of things in there that made the Northern Irish government unhappy. And basically, there was a something set up that would allow us to almost be like a kind of a connective sort of a place between like Ireland and therefore Europe and the UK, which would have been great for business, great for probably the people here, blah blah blah. But it meant that we would get a slightly different Brexit from the mainland UK, and our politicians were like, "We're not standing for that," essentially, and then they have refused to govern for 2 years.
Okay, so they're getting paid
Yes,
to not do their jobs.
correct.
How do we do that? I mean, I guess we're doing it right now, but I mean, we're doing our jobs and we're not getting paid, right? I don't think of this as a job. I think of it as like Laugh Factory, but
Oh, 100%. And I mean, like, I was thinking about that today, like other things like yoga, dog walks. A lot of the time, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing that, but I do not think about that for this. I'm like, hooray, get a podcast later. Woo!
right.
So
Good answer.
yes, you got past the test. Um, but the other thing as well is that it's the first time I might get this wrong. I hope I should be reading this, but we have a nationalist, oh, what are they called? First minister, kind of. So our sort of the person that's in charge of the government here is nationalist, as in they represent the unionism broadly represents the Protestant sort of the community in Northern Ireland, like as in the invaders, I
Okay.
guess, and the nationalist represents the Catholic community, which is like so broadly speaking, the people who are more connected with Ireland and you trace their roots from there and et cetera, et
Okay.
cetera. Um, so by mostly it has been so that's really interesting too, and that's kind of history making.
What's the name of the political parties? Is it Seinfeld?
Oh, Sinn Féin,
Sinn Féin.
and
See,
yes,
I have been reading up on this
yeah,
because I
absolutely.
saw it was like Northern Ireland, and I'm like, what?
I know it's how rare are we ever a news story. It's but like
It's
that,
true.
yeah. But it's good. I mean, like it's good that we have a government. Like you know, remain to be seen whether they actually get stuff done because it's been terrible. Because like we haven't had because we haven't had a functioning government. Like the roads are going to shit. Schools need money. Hospitals need money, and they have none of these things have been approved. Like one of the schools I do pet therapy with, they um they were waiting to see whether they would get a new status and allow them to stay open. But because there has been no government, it hasn't been able to happen. That school, unfortunately, is going to be closing later this year. I know.
What?
So yeah, I'm not going to stay on this subject too long because I don't want to
Okay.
talk politics for too long.
No, no,
But
no, no. We don't
it's
talk religion or politics.
no. But that's not the only crack. The other crack is that I went to a friend's 40th birthday party at the weekend.
Happy birthday, Andy's
Yeah,
friend.
it was
Welcome to your
amazing.
40s.
Exactly. Oh, I know. Yeah. Godspeed. She so her other half, he organizes festivals and things like that. So he
Mhm.
basically made a music festival for her, and that was her birthday party.
That's adorable.
It was so good. So nice. It was such a nice setup. They really it was lovely, and it was just, nice going to something like that. It was just a lovely idea for a party. So yeah, great stuff.
Yeah,
So yeah,
none of
that's
my friends have parties like that.
really.
No.
You have to come to one of my parties sometime, Beth. I have pretty good parties sometimes. Sometimes we'll make it
Uh-huh.
happen.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Speaking of which,
Speaking of which, yeah, that's true. Okay, wait, what?
I'm coming to see
Oh
you.
yeah, that news. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I booked, I I don't know why, but like through our whatever credit card frequent flyer miles, I
Okay.
got into Heathrow and out of Heathrow for like $130.
Oh, so I thought that was just a connecting flight. That's your flight from like California to
Yeah,
Heathrow.
yeah, from
Wow, that's
LA.
nuts. Yeah, that's
I
amazing.
know. I know. I could spend that like taking the kids to the movie. Instead,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like spend a couple days in London and then, which you're welcome to join me there too. But
Yeah, if I have the money, absolutely.
okay. I talked to a couple of our friends and they were like, yes, I want to see you. So you're
Oh
gonna miss out
yeah.
on a mini yoga reunion if
Oh
you
yeah. Okay.
I know. Okay, well I'll send you all the information.
Yeah,
But if anyone wants to join our Patreon, this is gonna go towards
that's
this
true.
trip and
Mm-hmm.
us hanging out in person instead of across the ocean in the same time zone, which is
It's
weird
true.
because it's dinner time where you are, and it's past dinner time.
But I've just having dinner. It's, yeah, it's just but like it'd be dinner time for some people, yeah.
What time? It's like what, like not 9,
No,
8:30?
no, 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 no. It's like just after 7.
Oh, okay. That's quite nice.
Yeah, so
We
it's
we eat early because children.
oh, that's true.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, stop talking, put food in your
Yeah,
mouth.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep eating, keep eating.
Right. Um, so anything else on crack?
I don't think so. I think we can go on to what's occurring. What's occurring with you, or
So
what's occurring with us?
I got a really sweet note from
Uh-huh.
someone who I can't remember. This might have been actually this might have been through LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn. I don't know why. Apparently to get to hear this one message from this one person, but this goes back to our conversation in episode whatever about professional cuddling.
Hmm.
And she said, I was a health aide, and one day I looked at my lady I took care of daily. I asked her when was the last time she was hugged, and she began to cry. I hugged her and I squeezed her until she became embarrassed. After that day, I made sure to hug her every day.
That's lovely.
I know. And I sent her a message back and I just said, I wonder how many people would have a similar reaction to that.
Yeah,
So just gonna put the PSA out there. Do you guys have public service announcements?
we do. Yeah, sort of.
PSA, the more
Yeah.
you know. Okay. Hug someone or ask them if they need a hug, or ask them when the last time they had a hug was, because I just think there is an epidemic of not enough hugs.
I agree completely. You know, I agree
So
completely with
I
that.
know, I know, I know. So I'm just throwing that out there. Um, I also have added more merch to the shop. The actual turnip, Halloween turnip, I
Hmm.
did a little creative licensing on, and so we have a new t-shirt with the actual turnip face. It looks horrible and terrifying, and it says "What's a crack?" So you could be the proud owner of that if you just go to
Yeah.
bendypodcast.com and check out all this. I'm like,
I,
they're check the website out because there's always new stuff, is all I'm gonna
yes.
say.
And like really, we're hopefully we'll get to the stage where essentially you can wear a different turnip shirt every day of the week is the long term.
Oh my God, you just reminded me of something.
Uh-huh.
I took Spanish in college,
Uh-huh.
and I had a Spanish teacher, and he had 5 shirts. So for 3 months, on Mondays he wore this shirt, Tuesdays he wore this shirt with the same shirt for the every day of the week.
Wow.
It
I,
drove me insane.
yeah, that's, I mean, I suppose maybe it's just like a uniform and that's his work stuff and now you
He
like
just didn't give a shit. Or he
yeah,
like couldn't, yeah, I just, or maybe he was like neurologically atypical like me, but
that's also possible. I like he just goes home, whips the shirt off at the end of the day, puts on his ACDC shirt,
yeah,
so
the
sitting in
one, the
sitting in for the
one
night
ACD.
with the holes in it. Yeah. Yeah,
Actually, that's my husband.
yeah. It's
He has
also
his
me in a
garage
lot of
shirt
ways.
that's like
Yeah.
sitting by the garage door, and then his like after garage shirt that's sitting next to the
That's a
garage
good
shirt.
system.
It's just this. I'm like, when was the last time you washed it? He's like, doesn't matter.
It doesn't need washed.
Uh-uh. No, he
Amazing.
comes in and he always looks like an orphan who's been like chimney sweeping. He has a problem with cars.
It's yeah, I mean, like I've even whenever I was over visiting you and Mike was on the phone, I just love it.
He was like, "You're going to Europe. I may need to, you might need to like. It's really hard to get because he loves obscure European vehicles,
Hmm.
and it's harder to get parts out here, right? Because they only imported a certain amount.
Yep,
So I was like, if you need me to schlep car parts back to the US, I will do that. He's like, okay,
nice.
I'll let you know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Why not? Absolutely. That's
I
just
know.
gonna be. You're gonna need like an extra bag on the way back home.
Yeah, yeah. I've traveled with weirder.
Yeah, yeah. I'll bet. I'll bet.
Um, do you
I,
have any occurring?
I was like literally just looking. I got it's one of my friends. I'm gonna keep quoting is like he said because we talked in the previous episode we were talking about movies and
Mhm.
we were talking about Blade Runner and I was saying how I never really got on with it in a big way. Like I know it always kind of made me sad. I think my expectations were raised so high they couldn't have ever
Mhm.
possibly made it. But he said that like the critical consensus on Blade Runner is kind of like starting to turn in that movie anyway. It's yeah, and he felt the same thing was that he saw it when he was young and he feels like that's the best thing to see it because it's more of a like a vibes movie. If you try to like really examine it or like really kind of follow the story, it kind of falls apart pretty quickly. But
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of like meh.
yeah.
Although the new Dune, have you watched
Oh
part
yes,
one? And part two comes out March 1st.
I
I'm
know.
so excited. I'm
Me
so
too.
excited. And I like love the original,
Yeah.
which is also one that's it's just
Oh,
weird. It's weird.
you mean
What? Go
The
ahead.
David Lynch one, the one from the 80s? Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
it's wild.
It is wild. It's like put your hand in the box.
Have you
Here is
seen
a mind killer.
it is? Oh, it's great. Have you seen the I think it's Jodorowsky's Dune, the documentary about like so
No.
there's like this really kind of avant-garde filmmaker called I think it's Alejandro Jodorowsky, and he was going to make this version of Dune that didn't happen. It eventually led to the Lynch version, but like the amount of incredible like talent that he had, that he thought was going to be part of that film. He was like he had asked Salvador Dali to be in the movie. Geiger did
Oh,
concept art. It's
aliens.
such a cool movie, but like they animate some of
Like
the
those are like
sequences.
my two favorite artists.
Like have a look. I think it's just called
Yep.
Jodorowsky's Dune, but like check that out.
Okay.
You'll like that. I think I'll
Yeah.
send it to you afterwards.
Okay,
Anyway,
there's my other favorite artist is Storm Thornton. I have to reach into my mind palace. Someone tell me. He's the guy that does all the Pink Floyd covers.
oh yes, 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 yes. I know who
And
you
like
mean.
they're all real pictures. Those are all things that he staged and set up. And it's like a field of beds. It's like,
Oh, yeah, interesting.
women's bodies painted with all of the different albums. Have you seen the one? And it's like Storm Thorgerson, I think, something. Someone
Uh-huh,
correct me.
uh-huh.
Um, but it's I can't remember for which album or if it was just like a promo, but it's a tree, but it's the outline of a face.
Okay.
And it's the coolest thing. And I was like, how did they do that? And I Googled it and they actually hung a guy from a helicopter upside down with a chainsaw.
Wow, wow.
And like he just like went around and cut this tree to look like a face. So
That sounds like the recipe for death, like right
I'm just
there.
like, why can't I get a job like
I know.
that? I need to know more artists.
There was a my friend sent me another this is another occurrence. This is gonna be another tangent, and then we'll move on, I promise, to
Oh
our actual
yeah,
topic.
yeah, whatever.
But
Maybe if you're
maybe
lucky,
we'll think
people.
about it. But there's one of the guys, I don't know if you've heard of Rubber Bandits. They're like a sort of alternative, like Irish music group, I'll say. They wear like plastic bags in their head. That's a
Oh,
whole
fabulous.
interesting thing. So
Okay.
one of them, I hadn't really heard much from him. I didn't really know much about one of them. One of them, he has a podcast and stuff. The other one, I didn't know much about. And then somebody sent me a video of him making a rowboat shaped like oh, I've forgotten his name now. What do you call the guy that owns Amazon? Bezos.
Oh, Jeff Bezos.
So he made a rowboat that looked like Jeff Bezos's face. It's the most ridiculous thing, but it's incredible. Like the amount of work he puts into it, and he kind of knows it's ridiculous, but like he's still like it's really funny. So it's that's worth taking out. Bobby Fingers is his name. That's
Bobby Fingers.
yeah, I definitely recommend checking out his. It's like a 20-minute video of him making how he made this Jeff Bezos rowboat. It's ridiculous, but it's great fun.
Okay. Okay. Find it and I'll post it.
I will. I will. Okay.
Love
Perfect.
it.
And I think
Okay.
this is a
Go
good
ahead.
segue, right? I was going to say this is a good segue to the madness that we're going to talk about because, like,
Yes.
that sounds like a lot of drama, right?
Right?
So, therefore, we're getting on to this week's topic, which is drama club?
Drama
Question
Club.
mark? Where we're
Drama
just going
Club?
to talk about drama club, where we're just going to talk about kind of our experiences, because, like, I think even not having sort of the option of theater whenever I was young, I think we're probably both like theater kids in a lot of ways. So we both have like different experiences of like doing stuff on stage and things like that. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Hmm. And I think the reason we're so good at this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably because we have theater background.
It's a masterclass
Uh-huh.
in podcasting. Wink.
Wink.
Beth, if we keep saying things like that, they'll believe it eventually.
I know it's true. So will we.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Sorry.
true. That's true. We'll get there eventually.
I have questions.
Yep.
Um, so when did you first get on stage? And like when did you first like fall in love with theater?
So early on, I would have went. So one of it would have been my earliest memory certainly would be in my teenage years. So I think I was maybe 16 or 17. And whenever I was younger, my school would have done a musical every year.
Mhm.
Sadly, now I go to that school, I do pet therapy there, and they've stopped doing that, and they kind of missed that, but they have other options. They have like drama club and things like that now. So we did Annie Get Your Gun that year. I was Charlie Utter, I think, who's a character in Deadwood. Anyway, I'm gonna go off on the tangent unless I stay focused
I
here.
love it. No, it's
And
fine.
I had the opening song, which is a solo by myself, and I still remember not messing it up one night. I think I did fine most of the time, but I still remember like messing it up one night, and but it was a really incredible experience. It was great fun to do. It was just like I love the camaraderie of it.
Mhm.
but I kind of didn't go anywhere after that. But that was the first thing that that kind of springs to mind. Like I remember like we had like talent shows and things like that, and I remember us doing in the jungle, the quiet jungle, the
The
lion sleeps
lion sleeps
tonight. What's the name of that
tonight.
song?
The lion sleeps tonight, I
I think
believe.
you could be right, yeah. And um that was good. That was good fun as well. But it's Annie Get Your Gun is what really kind of sticks in my head, and that really kind of lit something in me that I really took me years to fully kind of embrace and really start doing stuff with it. But it definitely spoke to me in a big way. What
Mhm.
about you?
I was luck. I don't know if I was lucky, but I there was a theater right by our house, and they had or like they had classes from like, first grade all the way through high school. And so for like summer fun, my mom signed me up for theater classes in fourth grade. And so every summer I would go back to this theater camp. Um, and I think I went all the way through probably like, might have even been like freshman year of high school. So like grade 12.
Hmm.
So 6 years probably. And then, so I learned how to clown. I learned how to write a play. I learned how to mime.
Nice.
I'm just I'm
Just
showing Andy
demonstrating
right
right
now and
now.
those with the Patreon. Yeah, I can
It's
do the
ma
box. I can
it's
do the ladder.
it's masterful work.
I know, thank you. I'll sign autographs later, but
Yeah.
uh so and I learned how to do improv. I really learned how to say yes.
Yeah,
I
which
learned how to
is
say
yeah.
yes, which is huge. And then we would do a performance at the end of the summer for the parents. And then
So
in
what age did you start this again? Sorry,
so I was probably like grade 4, so I was probably like 11, 10 or
okay.
11. And then I actually got cast in an actual like production
Hmm.
at
That's
the
awesome.
theater. So that was like I think I got paid, not much,
Wow.
but something,
Still,
right? And like
yeah.
people went and bought tickets and it was like a real thing. Like I was on the marquee, not me, but like me and a bunch of other kids.
Yeah.
And it was a movie or not a movie, it was a play about evolution.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Uh-huh. So, you know, controversial also.
Yes, it's true.
And then I was in band also, like in school. And so I remember like after my freshman year, I don't know, the girls were kind of catty, and I was just like, fuck this shit, man.
Yeah.
I want to go hang out I want to be a theater kid. And I remember like quitting my band class, and my like teacher was super pissed. Um, and like read me the riot act. My mom wrote him a letter and it was a whole thing. And then I like walked into the theater, signed up for classes, and then I'm sorry, I'm really talking a
No,
lot.
you're not. It's interesting.
I did I think I did a bunch of plays, which I can get into a little bit later, but I also did sort of like all sides of theater. So I was like stage manager, I was assistant director. I learned how to, do lighting and all that kind of stuff. So I learned everything about how you actually like put on a show,
Yeah,
both, backstage and on stage. So it was pretty cool
that's
and
great.
cured me of my fear of public speaking, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I,
that was a long answer.
it's not, I know it was interesting, and I kind of want to dig into more of it, but we can kind of take them one at a time. Like it's interesting you talking about the public speaking though, because I have a memory of I did like business studies, which is and as an A level essentially.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know how it works like structurally for like schools over here, but we only have two schools. We have like a primary or an elementary school, and then we have high school or grammar school, it would be called. Um,
How old are you when you go to high school?
I want to say 11 or 12, I think. I can't remember. I think that sounds right. I think it's about 11, 12. And because you leave there when you're 18, you're there for about 7 years. So that'll be about right.
Okay.
Um, and it oh, I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so no, we're talking about primary school and grammar school. So in relation to what though? What has happened to my brain? Why was I talking about this
You
next thing
got
between us?
excited. No, no, no. Okay, let's back it up. Let's see.
Uh,
Okay, brain challenge.
This is
Okay, we were
good
talking about, you're like,
content.
oh, that's, yeah, I know. This is great content. Do you want me to ask you another question?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's move
yes.
on. Oh dear, that's not good.
So you were talking about like what what age you were in high
Oh yeah.
school.
So I think that there's not a ton. Oh yeah, sorry. I was talking about. I know. I was talking about business studies. That's what got me onto this. So
Okay.
um, so whenever we do, or like whenever you go to like high school, you can do 5 years and then you can move. You can move to somewhere where you can do like vocational stuff. So you could do like electrician, mechanic, so on and so forth.
That's very
Or
useful.
right? Or you can
Hmm.
stay in school and you can do A levels. And A levels, you kind of like get to specify, target what you're studying. So I did history, English, and business studies, which is just, I really wanted to do computers, but like this, like my school really did not have anything like that at that stage. We had barely had IT at that stage. So those were my options really. And as part of business studies, we had to like put together, run a company type of thing. And we had to go to this big group where all schools were together talking about their companies, what they did. And part of that was public speaking. So I remember, I still to this day remember standing on stage and the sheer terror of like speaking to like 40 or 50 people. But like then you thought about it afterwards and you were sitting there and other people were talking and you weren't even paying attention. So I mean, like nobody gave a shit. I went through it and it was fine, but like that was about that. And a little bit there was like a debate club, and I remember it being not a good way to kind of think about things and like get me talking, so that was another
Were
sort
you
of
in debate
useful.
club?
Yeah.
I could not. I I can't debate. I just can't.
I think I was really bad at it back then. I think I could probably do a better job now, but I have no real interest in debating stuff
I don't
anyway.
like just debating for debating's sake. Just it makes me want to like
Eh, Like,
hammer a nail into my foot.
I hear you. And I mean, like the amount of people that whenever somebody wants to debate something, it's not really that they want to debate it. They put a point of view that they want to impress on you, and that's kind of it. So I don't really have a lot of time for that. But
Right.
but yeah, so I mean, like, so that was kind of it in terms of my high school experience. I don't think there was a ton. I mean, I don't know, but like I don't think there was a ton of other sort of drama stuff offered, certainly locally for me. Unfortunately, there wasn't many outlets. And even talking to kids these days, it seems like they have to go further afield. They have to go to Belfast or wherever, do you know what I mean, to kind of actually scratch that itch. I mean, we don't even have a somewhere for them to perform locally where I live, which sucks, it really does. I think that's starting to change. And I know there are small places that are kind of helping out with that. And it's part of some of the stuff that I'm doing as well to try to like make that blossom.
Yeah. I mean,
But mhm,
I was a humanities major and like not having the humanities available to people, which is like, art and history and, all of the things that make us human all sort of combined together
yeah,
is a travesty. It's a travesty.
I hear you. Yeah.
I would not be the same person had I not been in theater.
Yeah. I think it really, yeah. And so, yeah, but I have a few questions I kind of want to delve into a little bit more, which was, can you talk a little bit about clowning?
Yes.
Okay.
So, it's actually you can actually go to clown college.
I actually know people who have done some clown training here as well out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a not a friend, but a person I went to school with that did, I think Barnum and Bailey had a clown college and he
Hmm.
actually went and did that.
Ooh.
So it's a lot of like physical comedy. So you learn how to like, tweak someone's nose or fall or like, sometimes you'll wear the costumes and like someone will step on your clown foot and you have to know how to react and all those kinds of things.
I like it.
So it really like
It's
it was very much tiny clown college.
It's kind of making me think of, did you ever see Baskets, the Zach Galifianakis show, where he was like he was trained as a clown, but he was trained as like a French clown, and he comes back to the US trying to do his French clown arts, and nobody wants that. They just want like it's a really fun idea.
That's good. I've
Uh,
only seen, you know what I saw of him the other day was outtakes of Between Two Ferns.
oh, so good.
So good. The outtakes are like the
They're the
show is
best.
wonderful. The outtakes are the best.
I agreed.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely like learn how to be a clown if
I
that's the direction you want to go. But really it was it's like physical comedy is hard to do.
That's true. It
Like
is.
moving your body in a way that makes people laugh
Yeah,
without, kicking someone in the balls or whatever.
it's true. It's true.
So,
That's the easy road. I mean, like
right.
it was something I was reflecting on. And I talked about Panto before and how it's
Mhm.
very difficult for me to explain. But like there was the actors that we in the Panto that we saw around Christmas there were just so good at that, just moving their bodies in a way that was hilarious. Like there was one of the characters that was just performing hesitation just by moving back and forth, and it was brilliant. It was so good, so good. But I think what I think clowning, I think like improv and things like that. I think one of the really useful skills they teach you is how to deal with like embarrassment or things that would,
Yeah.
normally make you embarrassed. And it's like it's not that big a deal really, once you've kind of done it a few times.
So for our audience that doesn't necessarily know the difference between theater and improv, do you want to kind of go into the difference
Yeah. Um,
between the two? Because I think you have more experience with improv than I do.
that's true. So I think just to set the stage for that a little bit, I started improv what about 5 or 6 years ago. I haven't done anything with it over the past 2 or 3 years. Um I think COVID really kind of was a death knell for a lot of improv, and then I just for whatever reason didn't end up going back to it. But anyway, I digress. Improv is very much exactly what it sounds like. It's improvisation. It is the formats change wildly. I have done a number of different formats, but you're largely going on completely unprepared. And honestly, one of my favorite things about improv is I have to do like zero work ahead of time. I could just go there and do it. It's amazing. So yeah, so like I mean, so the big difference with theater, it's rehearsed, it's blocked properly, it is lit properly, all of those things. Whereas, with us, it's just like go on stage, get some sort of ridiculous suggestion from the crowd, and go from there, basically. But like, I mean, and I think that like improv is mortifying sometimes. It is, it's awful, but I think that whenever it works, it's kind of magical, and
Like when it hits and
when it
when it
hits,
hits and everyone roars with laughter
yeah,
and you get like that feeling from the audience where you're just like totally feeding off the energy off each other, not in like a succubus kind of way, but like the best
100%.
way. Yeah.
I've definitely had it's callbacks, and it's just using your brain at times and just kind of like accessing things, and like and leaning into like interesting specifics can really make something sing. And like whenever you find that, and it's just, oh, it's such a rush. It's really nice. And
Mhm.
because like as I say, you're making something out of nothing, it's very satisfying. But also on the flip side of that, it is also a great teacher whenever you die on stage and you get no reaction whatsoever. It's kind of useful to do that. I mean, it's like I want to start reading poetry more in a live setting, and I see poems or poets rather read poems to silence, and I'm like, improv is going to be the perfect the perfect training for this.
It's true. It's true. And like we did improv more for like warm-ups before plays.
Yeah,
So we would all stand in a circle and, be like, yes, and you point to someone and they've got to come up with whatever, you know, it's a for those that don't know, it's an improv game.
yeah.
You have
Would
to
you
be there to know.
would you do things like
But
zip zap zop and things like that?
we would
And
do zip zap zap.
Mhm.
Um, but it was definitely a way to get everybody connected, to get the synapses firing. And it's also a tool, I think, for when you forget your lines.
Yeah,
If you're on script and you forget like what the fuck you're supposed to talk about, that's what improv is also for,
so
is to
true.
like, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying right now, so I'm gonna just make it up and then hope that someone in the cast like picks up that I don't know what I'm doing and fixes it, right? So it's I'll say like on script is also mortifying.
Oh, I'd imagine so. I mean, like, I suppose I have had in that production I did have lines, but that's the only time I've had lines, and trying to remember that stuff is hard going, truly hard going.
Yeah.
Like I left out a whole verse of the song one time because I just was like, I can't remember how this starts, and it's just like dancing back and forth as the music played and waiting for the next verse I did know, you know.
That's so fun.
It is. Do you know, so there is apparently a VHS of my production out there somewhere that my like one group of my friends in particular is like their holy grail. They're desperate to find it.
I have some of mine too on VHS.
Nice.
Yeah. So my first like, oh, you got cast in the play and your name is on the list after I did, because I did Henry the whatever, Henry the Eighth,
Yeah.
the St.
Shakespeare.
Crispin's Day
Oh,
speech. Yeah. So I played a
ooh,
male king. And I think
nice.
yeah. So I, as a sophomore, I got
Hmm.
into Hamlet and I was, wait for this. I was guard two and
Nice.
courtier two.
Not even guard one and courtier
No,
one.
no,
Wow.
a
The
guard number
indignity.
two. Are you ready for my two lines?
Hmm.
I, my lord. I, my lord.
Wow.
I know.
Really?
I
That's
was so
bullshit.
excited.
That's
But
bullshit.
like, I know. But I did learn like in that show, it was like probably my favorite production I ever did. And I learned how to cry on cue.
Ooh, that's good stuff.
Yeah,
I can do that anyway. It's just a natural ability.
I know. I just talk about puppies.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's like, and I think, and it's something that um did part I you know I'm partially regretful not doing more of it, but then there's not a ton of opportunities for it here, and not something I sought out. And I think that, post um school experience, there wasn't much opportunity. Like I had always kind of and I had people talk about like singing in a band and things like that, but nothing really ever came to it. And I think I got, certainly most of my 20s were spent being very in my own head about that sort of stuff and not wanting to like put myself out there, So it took me a while to kind of get past that. And I think also
How
then,
how did you get the gumption or bravery to like step into an improv class? Because
uh,
improv is freaking scary
yeah, so it was
and lovely, but
yes, it is. I agree. So I think there are two things. Whenever so my the girl I was dating at the time, she took a year away. I had a lot of free time in my hands. I was always keen, like it was something that I kind of, I was like, I like to do night classes and stuff anyway, and I wanted to engage with something. And I think I've said to you before, I like doing things that scare me. I think it's kind of good for me. I like really getting out of my comfort zone. Um, and nothing terrified me more than improv, honestly, in that regard. So I was like, let's give it a go. And it was great. I still remember there is probably my first improv show is probably on YouTube somewhere. I wonder if I can find it. That's interesting. I must see if
I'll
I can dig
find
it out.
it. I
Yeah.
can find anything about anyone.
I believe you. I'm pretty certain it is. And like some of the stuff in there was not bad, but some of it was terrible. But I remember how terrified we all were because it was our first time doing it in front of a crowd. But like I have since then done a ton of other stuff, and it's not I don't really care anymore. And I mean, I think I've said, I don't know if I've expressed this to you before, but it's like my feeling on improv has been, it's become, if you were to give me a choice, between like getting up on stage to do like a half hour one man improv or have a one-on-one conversation with a stranger. It'll be like, show me the stage, get me on stage here right now. you know,
Yeah.
which is a damning indictment in some ways, but yeah. Um,
You want it to be all about you.
I do. That's true. Just come on stage and then a single spotlight. Where's
And
my
you'll wake
light?
up, right?
Find my light.
Find my light.
But so I mean, and like, and but like I did that. I also did what was it? Jiu-jitsu as well, but
Oh, really?
jiu-jitsu didn't take. I did it, or I can't remember. It was some sort of martial art, and I did that for them both just because I needed to take my mind off the other stuff. So I was like, let's throw myself into stuff, and that stuff kind of faded away pretty quickly after a month or so. But the improv stuck for about 3 or 4 years.
Do you still stay in contact with people that you met through improv?
A few, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
not everyone. Yeah, some interesting stories from all of that because like the improv scene is kind of a bit wild and nuts, as you can imagine. Um, stories that I don't think I could share, but like there was so like even I do see people and I'm still like kind of close with some of them, and there's one person in particular, and we've written together a little bit and done some other sort of projects together, but she's the only one I'm in contact with in any sort of major way. Other ones, social media, things like that. I've got a wee bit of
Yeah.
connection, but like the
Yeah.
vast majority have moved on from improv anyway. What was so interesting about improv in this country generally was that a lot of the people that were there were not native in Northern Ireland. They were like foreign students.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Why do you
So
think that is?
I don't know. I mean, like, I think, that's I mean, like, I think for them, talking to some of them, they like the idea of the challenge of improvising in English. Yeah, they thought it'd be a real kind of test for their English, which yeah, absolutely it is.
There's
Um,
no way I would do improv in another language and
it,
like try that.
and some of them were freaking great as well. Do you know what I mean? It
Wow.
was nuts. But it was such a wee sort of melting pot of people from all over, and it was I but it was and that's exactly what I want is just like people from all sort of different backgrounds in together. That's always really interesting to me.
Mhm.
So it was a good group of folks.
So what's the worst thing that ever happened to you on stage?
Hmm.
If
Do
you
you have
want
an
to
answer for
think,
that?
I
And I'll
do,
think
I
about it.
do.
Okay, go for it.
If you want to think on it. So I was in it was like student written plays when I was in college, my freshman year. And so they were student written, student directed, and each play they cast two people. And so it was me and this other dude. And like memorize lines. It was weird. It wasn't like the material. It kind of like I don't know. It was like it was like gross dude stuff,
Yep.
like masturbation and like, whatever. And I had to like be part of it and
Oh,
whatever. I was young and dumb and it was fine. I was like, I got cast, right?
yeah.
I got to keep all my clothes on. So
That's
woohoo.
good. Yeah,
But
it's a bonus.
my co-actor or whatever you call it, like forgot a performance
Hmm. Forgot
and
to arrive.
forgot. Yeah. And I called like 20 minutes before curtain and I was like, where are you? And he's like, oh my God, I totally forgot. And shows up higher than anyone I've ever seen before. So I was just like, great. I know I'm gonna have to carry this whole show. He doesn't remember his lines. He's so like everyone in the audience could tell he was so fucking baked.
Wow.
It was awful. It was mortifying. I'm like saying his lines and my lines, and he's just like basically like catatonic. So bad. And then
Incredible.
someone else got in another play got you have those like fake swords
Yeah,
for like sword fighting. They got cut pretty badly with a fake sword. I was
great.
like bleeding off stage and like trying to like act his way through it or whatever. So
I I think it's like, it's tough, you're talking about what the first play you were talking about, the subject matter and things like that. And I think about, really writing a play being a good writer is kind of it's good in terms of what the quality of the project, but like it doesn't really matter as long as you kind of get something down. You're probably going to be able to get some people to perform it for you.
Right.
You know?
I'm raising my hand.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I'm not saying masturbation's bad and like it's not gross dude stuff. It was just like I didn't really want to act in that play and I didn't
No.
really have an opportunity to say no. So
Yeah, and I
it
and
was just
and,
like here's what you get.
and I
So
kind of yeah, I think I know the sort of project you're talking about. We're just like, yeah, it is a very sort of I guess teenage, early 20s sort of boy
yeah,
fixation stuff. Yeah, yeah,
totally.
yeah,
And I was
yeah.
just like, this is what you chose to write about. Like
Yeah.
of all of the topics that you could write about,
This
where
is
you
this is
actually get to, you know, write and direct your own play.
it's like this is what's meaningful to me.
Yeah, this is it.
Come
This
work,
is
yeah.
it. I know, right? Not to
Um,
say that I know what I would write about, but I don't
yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay.
It's always kind of reassuring, but like I guess it probably would be. I was kind of thinking about it there. I think it would be that time in my musical when I kind of forgot an entire verse. I still have a memory of that, like standing there in silence,
Mm.
you know.
Do you go there sometimes?
I don't only when I really activate. I mean, that's not something that like is seared in my brain in that way, but
Good.
like if I can kind of like I'm not mortified by the memory anymore. I'm kind of like whatever, it's something that happens, but I do still remember how embarrassed I felt then and like how bad and like I'm a wild one for like beat myself up about stuff afterwards, and I definitely remember doing that in this case. But again, in recent years, I remember going like doing a improv show in Dublin, and it was awful. And I don't think we got a single laugh, any of us, and it was horrifying. I still remember, but like at that stage, I just didn't really give a shit anymore. I just was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, because as
It's
I
like, am
say,
I having fun? Yes. So yeah.
and I can now say I'm an international improviser and things like that.
Yeah. Did people pay to get in to
They
see
did.
you? And you are a paid actor,
That's true. No,
improviser.
what I didn't
Yeah.
get paid, but it's the classic improv financing where improvisers get paid in experience.
Right, right, right.
So, but it's no, but like it was. And there's part of me wants to go back, but I don't really know if I want to start again because I I kind of wish I had went back at a time when there were still people I knew that were up doing it. And there are some, but yeah, I think I'm
What's the
kind of.
worst thing that could happen if you went back? I
That's a good question. I don't know. Like
know.
it's maybe just partially because with me, like I kind of get to a stage where I'm like, yeah, I've done that. I got what I needed from it, and I'm kind of ready to
Mm.
use it maybe for
I'm
other
no
things.
longer afraid of it.
Nah, exactly, exactly. Because I
Okay.
think that if an opportunity came up or somebody was like, so whenever I was in New York about 2 years after I started doing it, and I was still we went to I think it was IO Theater in. No, no, that could be wrong. I can't remember the name of it exactly, but there was an improv theater in New York that I went to with my friend. And if you're in the audience, you could volunteer to go down. And I wish I had done it, but I like completely lost my nerve. Um, so I think
Because you could
maybe
have gotten on stage in New York City and done
right.
improv.
I could have said
Yeah.
I have been on
That would
stage
have
in
been
New
really
York. I
cool.
really wish I had. Man, I may end up doing it again, though I think all those improv theaters are closed now. Though what was really heartening to me about that was that like the New York Improv Theater was like kind of as small and grotty as the theater that we were working in. And I was like, okay, this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, improv, everybody give it a shot.
Did
It's
you
good
guys
fun.
have whose line is it anyway?
We did. We had
Okay.
we had a British version of it. But with
Okay.
I think all the same actors that you guys had. So like Ryan Stiles, Colin
Yes.
Mockery,
Yes.
I can't remember the other names of the folks, but yes,
Wayne Brady before he
we
got like
didn't have Wayne Brady,
you didn't
but
have
I know
Wayne
who he
Brady.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. He
Greg
got
Proops. Greg
famous.
Proops was the other one.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I know they were in a lot of the US stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that. I'm grateful to that show for making it more mainstream and like showing like I don't think people really know what they were watching.
It's true.
You know, it was just like imaginative, whatever, acting or whatever, but
Yeah.
some of the stuff that they would do and like how fast they are, I just don't have that speed of wit,
Yeah.
you know? I've I mean, in all of my improv times, I probably got like where I felt really locked in, like maybe 10 times,
Yeah. Interesting.
which is sad.
But it's like, yeah, but I think you're right. I mean, it's not for everyone, and I think that and I think I've even, encountered people who, thought they were hot shit, and I felt like they maybe had things that they did well, but it wasn't so much improvisation. They just had like a toolkit that served them rightly. But if you saw them a handful of times, you were like, oh, I've seen this before.
Yep. Same material.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
kind of not the idea. But I remember like early days seeing comedians and thinking to myself, they do the same thing night after night. That feels wrong. They should be doing new stuff. Like I now understand that's insanity, but I think I kind of took that into my improv in terms of I always wanted to make sure I did something new, even if it would completely fell on its face.
Mhm, mhm. And I I'm curious, like, is improv more not acceptable, but like in your country, do people watch improv more or like do they go to the theater more?
But theater more for sure. Improv
Okay.
is
Okay.
not acceptable at all. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever I first started working with the group in my own town, excuse me, um, they wanted me. They had asked me in because they knew I had an improv background, and I said, look, I do not think it's going to work here. I don't think there's an audience for it. I don't think there is. I don't know if we would even have people who would be interested in learning it either, particularly here. I mean, possibly, but we don't have a theater or we don't have a theater to perform in really, and also I don't think I think you would need more of that culture to really kind of for there to be an appetite for improv, to be honest.
Right. It takes a certain type of person.
But I think like general it does, but I think generally UK, why, we are.
You guys are witty though. So much funnier than we are.
I mean, like it depends on the person, but like um I think that the embarrassment threshold, like people are more easily embarrassed in this country as well. So I think taking that swing is a lot harder for a lot of like
Mm,
British people.
yeah, we're
Uh,
really good at embarrassing ourselves here
do you know what I mean?
and feeling okay about it.
Exactly. So whereas for most British people, that's unthinkable. The very
Uh-huh.
the very idea of it.
Uh-huh. So, what do you think that you've gotten out of theater
Um,
slash improv?
I think it makes me more confident. I think I'm pretty good at like dealing with a crowd now. You know what I mean? I can talk to a crowd. I can think on my feet in front of a crowd. I am not worried about doing something stupid. So I think it's built my sort of, I mean, not social confidence, but like God, I don't want to use the word leadership, but you know what I mean? Running things, it's useful to
Mhm,
be um able to speak confidently and think on your feet, and I think it's
mhm,
been invaluable for that.
mhm.
What
So
about you?
people think that you know what you're talking about?
Yes, I mean, like, clearly I don't, but I talk a good game.
Right, right, right. I think for me, because I did it so young, I really there are friends that I've made that I've kept my whole life.
That's great.
Um and we have this commonality, which is, you know, great. I think that I remember not thinking I was like the best at anything or very good at anything. I was just kind of mediocre at all the things that we were doing.
Hmm.
Um, but I remember one of the years before, it's probably one of my last years of the theater camp, and we were all sort of like end of the summer, rehearsal for parents. And before that, one of the teachers got up and was like, I just want to recognize a student for being, for always saying yes, for always being here, for always making people feel good about themselves, for always. And I was like, oh my God, it's totally Carly. It's totally Carly. And he said, Beth Martin, I just want to
That
thank
rules.
you for everything that you've done for everyone here. And I was just like, I was so floored. So as a kid, in your teens to get that kind of like recognition, I think that put me in a position where I kind of realized like, oh, you don't need to be the loudest one, you don't need to be the funniest one, you don't need to be, you know, um the best. You really just have to be yourself, and
Yeah.
you actually can get recognition from that. And that sort of put me on the path of like, don't be like everybody else. Like
Yeah.
be your own Beth, and the rest will follow. And like I would say, like for the most, like obviously like I've fallen off that track sometimes, but I think that's really what it did for me.
That's a great
Yeah.
answer. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
That's yeah, and I think you're so right. I mean, I think it's for a start, I think that it's so hard to really objectively think about your own ability of doing anything. I mean, I think we both are like that. I don't know if that's for everybody, but I think that is the case for a lot of people. So but I think in terms of people who say yes, who go along with things, how vital they are for any of this shit happening. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? It's
Yes.
huge. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
awesome. I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
good answer.
Thanks. Is it better than your answer? I
Yeah, it
think
kicks
so.
my answer's ass. I'm quitting the podcast. I'm so embarrassed by my answer.
You can't
I quit,
quit.
Beth. I'm
You
joking.
can't quit.
I'm joking. I'm
I'll
joking.
buy you a t-shirt.
All right, fine. Okay, it must have a turn up on it. Okay. Do we have anything else we want to talk about before we start wrapping
I
things up?
I don't think so. I recommend, like, if anyone has any inkling to be involved in the theater arts, like I highly, highly recommend
Yeah.
it. It for me it was life-changing, good confidence builder. You also
Yes.
meet really cool people
Yes.
who are just as weird and awesome as you are, and you just never know where that's going to lead. So,
Yeah. I think, especially, and I'm just going to co-sign that, but like, I think especially if you are uh, I mean, I suppose we all feel like outsiders a wee bit, but if you really do feel like you're on the kind of outside edges, it's a great place to meet like-minded folk.
yep,
So yeah, do it.
yep,
Do it.
yep.
It'll
Do
be,
it.
yeah.
And then someday maybe you could be on a podcast with Andy.
Yeah, maybe you shooting for those dreams.
Right. No,
But yeah,
he's mine. He's my co-host. Sorry. Find your own.
fine.
Go to
Yeah,
theater, find your
he,
own.
he gets paid in turnip t-shirts.
That's right. Or just turnips.
Exactly, just turnips. Yeah, I'll take either. As long as it's in the turnip sphere.
Right.
Right, turnip sphere is good, Beth. Right, turnip sphere is where our podcast exists, right?
There's
Yeah.
a Venn diagram for that I'll make.
Yeah, okay, perfect. It's shaped like a turnip. Yeah, the circle's shaped like a turnip. Okay, all right, perfect.
All right. I
Okay.
think it's time to dive into your favorite
Dun,
topic.
dun,
Do
dun.
you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
You go first, Beth. So I'm going to ask you,
Okay.
Beth, what's been bringing you joy this week?
It's gonna make you mad.
Uh,
I
okay.
fucking love Peaky Blinders.
Oh, really? That's
I
not gonna make me
fucking
mad.
love it.
Okay.
So what
Maybe me.
bar? There's a
Uh-huh.
bar where they made like a Peaky Blinder bar and people dress up like they're in Peaky Blinder like
Yes.
costumes.
It no longer
That's
exists in that form, but yes, they did that. So
so freaking cool.
it wasn't
You're
cool.
shaking, Andy's shaking his head emphatically.
I just I don't know. And it was I think also because it was a bar that I really liked, and then they kind
Uh-huh.
of that were really kind of I think it was bought over, and they became that thing, and it was like, oh, but it's now changed, and it's now a decent spot. But yeah, I think I just was mourning the bar that was there. They
I
used to
get
do
it.
like. And you know what I think it was more than anything? It wasn't so much the bar as the food they used to serve. They used to serve like pies that were essentially in a pot with like a pastry lid over the top, and it would have ridiculous fillings. The one that was so we have fry ups. You probably know the idea of like what an English or an Irish fry is. I don't think we've got time to get into that. Well,
Okay.
that's a future, but
Is it like a pancake?
it's essentially like sausage, bacon. You also got like a few different types of breads. You've got beans, mushrooms, right? So there was a pan filled with that stuff, or a pot filled with that stuff, and a pastry lid on top, and it was called a fry pie.
Okay.
And it was kind of horrible, but also I kind of miss
We
it.
call it we call it a pot pie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Pot pie.
Okay.
Yeah, that's yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yes, we don't really call them that, but I'm aware of the term. So yeah, that's my long way around talking about why I'm mad at Peaky Blinders.
It's so good. I can't. It's so good.
Ah, I do have to
It's
check it
so
out.
good.
Okay.
It's so good. That's all I'm gonna say.
Like other people whose opinions I trust, like yourself, obviously, I who have said it's great, so I need to look into it.
Yeah.
Um,
And it gives me a lot more respect for, I'm gonna butcher his name, but Cillian
yeah,
Murphy,
no, that's good.
um, as an actor. Just the cast is amazing. The story, it's like I care. I'm like, oh, she's back. Are they gonna fall in love? Oh, she's having his baby. Like it's a little soap opera-y, but like
Nice.
it's so well done that I'm like, I'm in. I'm like looking forward to like every evening where we watch it. I'm like, can
Uh,
we watch Peaky Blinders
yeah.
again? Mike's like, okay. So,
Uh, I do need to make an effort. Like, I don't know why, because I don't think it's like set in like or England, isn't it? I think Birmingham
mhm.
or Manchester, something like that. But you know what I think? I think because uh, I don't know why I make this connection with it. Do you remember Sons of Anarchy?
Yes.
Did you watch any of it?
No.
Okay, I mean, it wasn't a great show, but like they had. I watched it anyway. It was fine. I thought I found it entertaining enough. And then they had a season where they went to Northern Ireland, and it just made me stop watching that show. It was ridiculous. Their version of Northern Ireland, it's so ridiculous, and it was just the accents were just like claws down a chalkboard.
Right.
Um,
Right. Compared to yours.
compared to my beautiful lilting tones. Yeah,
Which when I'm captioning,
it
it's
can
it's so funny. I need to start like
I, I
a
have seen.
list of what it says.
Yeah,
And so I don't hit them all right, but some of them like I can understand what you're saying, but
yeah,
the UK caption generator is just like completely
yeah.
it's yeah. You
I
say
mean,
pancake and it says zoo, like it makes no
yeah.
sense at all. It's
I
hilarious.
I've seen some
I
of
think
it,
I
and
want
it's.
pancakes because they keep
I
bringing them
mean,
up.
it's just yeah. I mean, like, don't we all? Um.
Yeah.
So okay. Oh, I still haven't friggin' found an answer for this. I guess. Oh no, I know what it was. I had a. So we have like I have a yoga class on Saturday mornings. I regularly go to. It's one of my good friends teaches it, and we just had like an impromptu sort of like coffee afterwards with like and a load of people came and it was about eight of us and it was just nice. I just kind of like kind of yoga vibes. It was just a good way experience. It was good to see people. I kind of got a little bit of a job offer there. It was just and that's neither here nor there, but it was just
It's
kind
always
of
nice to, that's always nice little ego booster when
it
someone's
is.
like, do you want to have a job
It is.
doing this thing? Yeah.
But I do really like that sort of yeah, I don't know. By and large, the yoga folks that I know are good folks, and it was nice to kind of spend some time with them. So it was a good way to kind of kick off my Saturday. So that brought me
And
joy
in,
this week.
I like, I like, when impromptu, like magic happens,
Yes.
when it's like the right people and everybody shows up and like, it's just not planned, but all of a sudden you're just like, oh, this is magical.
Yep. And
This
you're
is
just
a
having
nice.
fun. You're
Mhm,
laughing. You're telling little
mhm,
stories and stuff. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
mhm.
So yeah, so it was nice. So
Good.
that brought me joy recently.
All right, you passed this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done it. Yeah. Okay, so we both agree that Beth and I did an excellent job with her joy this week.
We did.
Uh, like that is Beth and I agree that we both did an excellent job. So there's only one thing for us left to do, which is to remind you to. I'm not hydrated enough for this week.
Aha.
Stay Bendy. Oh, it's good. Some good resonance this week. All
I
right.
totally cheated and like stuck some in. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Bye.
Bye. We love
Love
you.
you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
That's good. I could have kept talking.
Yeah, so could I. Yeah, I just didn't want to. But we still got a good hour, 10 minutes, like, which is good. Oh, there,
Yep, that's
thereabouts.
good. There,